My brother called me a fraud in front of our entire family at Thanksgiving dinner. Not under his breath, out loud, across the table, while our mother was still holding her fork. He said I'd been playing favorites my whole life and that I finally had the nerve to prove it. And the worst part? I didn't even try to deny it. Okay, some context, because this doesn't make sense without it. There are three of us: me, my brother Derek, and my sister Priya. I'm the oldest by 4 years. Our parents weren't wealthy, but they were stable, and when they passed within 2 years of each other, they left behind a modest inheritance split three ways. Mine came out to just under $60,000. Derek got the same. Priya got the same. Clean, fair, no drama, or so I thought. I didn't spend mine right away. I already had a decent job, my rent was manageable, and honestly, I was still grieving too hard to make any big decisions. Derek blew through his in about 18 months. I don't say that to be cruel, he had real expenses. He'd lost his job around the same time, his car needed serious work, and he has two kids. The money went somewhere legitimate mostly. But it was gone. Priya invested hers and grew it quietly, without telling either of us. And then about 2 years later, Derek called me. He was $8,000 in debt to a payday lender. If you know anything about payday loans, you know that number was about to become 12,000 very fast. He was panicked. He was embarrassed. He asked if I could help. I said yes. I paid it off, all of it. I didn't tell Priya. Here's what I told myself at the time. Derek needed it and Priya didn't. Simple. Priya had her inheritance intact plus whatever she'd made on it. She had a partner with a good income. She owned her car outright. I wasn't choosing a favorite, I was reading the room. I wired the money over, Derek cried on the phone, and I felt good about it. Like genuinely good. The kind of good you feel when you've actually done something useful with money instead of just letting it sit there. That feeling lasted about 4 months. Then Priya found out. I still don't know exactly how. Derek didn't tell her directly, but apparently he mentioned to their cousin that he'd got help from me, and the cousin mentioned it to Priya, and Priya is not the kind of person who lets things sit. She called me that same night. She wasn't yelling. She was very, very calm, which is honestly scarier. She said, "So you gave Derek $8,000 and didn't say a word to me." I said he needed it. She said, "I needed help 3 years ago when I was trying to close on my apartment and you told me you didn't have liquidity." And okay, she wasn't wrong. 3 years ago, before the inheritance, I had told her I couldn't help with her closing costs. She'd had to ask her partner's family instead, which she found humiliating. I'd forgotten about that. Or maybe I hadn't forgotten and I just didn't want to sit with it. She said, "You've always had more patience for Derek's crises than mine." And I said, and I genuinely regret how this came out, I said, "Derek has kids, Priya, the math is different." Long pause. Then she said, "Wow," and hung up. I texted her twice. She didn't respond. Then came Thanksgiving. Derek knew she was upset, but I don't think he knew how much. He made some offhand comment at the table about how he was finally getting his finances in order, something about being grateful for family who shows up. And Priya just looked at me, not at him, at me. And then Derek, trying to smooth it over, said, "She helped me out a little while back." And that's when Priya said, "A little." And Derek, who had no idea he was about to hand her a match, said, "Well, she cleared a debt for me. It was." And Priya looked directly at our mother's empty chair at the head of the table. Mom had passed 2 years before, and she said, "And what would Mom think about that?" Nobody moved. And that's when Derek called me a fraud, not as a joke. He said, "Hold on, are you seriously making her feel bad for helping me? She's not a fraud." And Priya said, "She is if she pretends to treat us equally and doesn't." And then she turned to me and said it plainly, "You decided his problems counted more than mine. You just did it quietly so no one could call you on it." I didn't blow up. I didn't cry. I sat there and I said, "You're right that I didn't tell you." But I made a judgment call. He had a predatory lender breathing down his neck and two kids depending on him. And Priya said, "And I had a closing cost shortfall that almost cost me my home. But that wasn't dramatic enough for you, was it? No kids, no emergency, just a woman trying to build something." Nobody at the table said a word. Our aunt looked at her plate. Derek looked at me, and I didn't have an answer. Because here's the thing I've been sitting with ever since. I think I did help the right person in the right moment. I think payday loan debt is a different category of crisis. But I also think Priya is right that I had a hierarchy in my head that I never examined, that I have more softness for Derek's chaos than for Priya's quiet, persistent need. That maybe he has kids is real, and also a little bit of a shield. A few weeks later, Priya texted me one sentence: "I'm not asking you to give me anything. I'm asking you to admit what you actually did." I haven't responded yet. I've typed about 14 different versions and deleted all of them. So here I am. I gave $8,000 to one sibling and nothing to the other. I had reasons. Good ones, I think. But I made that call alone in secret, and I didn't even remember the closing cost conversation until Priya threw it back at me. Derek doesn't think I did anything wrong. Priya thinks I've been doing something wrong for years, and this was just the first time I couldn't hide it. And me? I genuinely don't know anymore. I helped someone who was drowning. And apparently I did it in a way that told my sister exactly where she stands. So, am I the problem here? Honestly, though, what would you have done? Comment below.